Alright, hey guys, this is Josiah. Wanted to do a quick kind of run through of the new and updated position sizer indicator for ThinkOrSwim. I've recently just kind of completely overhauled this new indicator and made it, I think, a lot more expandable and flexible, so hopefully a little more usable for more of the traders out there. The original version was kind of more focused at how I trade, and so it was a little bit limited in who all it would be applicable to. And so I think now with these new updates that we've made to the indicator, it'll be a lot more usable for other types of traders out there that don't necessarily trade the same way that I do. So to start out with, so here we are. I think we're looking at SPY here, and you'll see up at the top corner here we have these labels, and on the chart here we have these zigzaggy lines here, if that's a word. So to start out with, what we have here is a label that tells us what we have set in our settings. We have determined that we want to spend a maximum or risk a maximum of $2,000 on each trade. So with a $2,000 max risk, and it's calculating a $3.39 stop currently, it's telling us we can buy up to 589 shares at this amount of risk per share to stay within that $2,000 maximum risk on this trade. And so it says the actual risk will be $1,996 with a potential reward of $5,990, and that gives us a risk reward of 1 to 3. The reward is 3 times the risk. It also calculates the risk reward in percentage terms here, and it also tells us our entry price, our stop price, and our target price. Now, so that's what each of the labels up here tells us. And so this gives you a quick glance of when you're placing your order, you can glance up here and it will tell you the exact numbers to punch in for your order. Now, I'm going to run into the settings real quick for this indicator. And so what I have set here that you're seeing on the chart, I have this indicator set up to use the dev stops. That were developed by, I don't actually know how to pronounce her name, Case, K-A-S-E, Case Dev Stops. And so here I've chosen the stop type that I want is Case. And so it's calculating all 4 of the potential stops that her indicator plot stops for. And so you can choose case dev stops and then specify later which particular one of those 4 stops that you want to use. So if I want to use number 2, it will switch to this one. So this one's the warning line. This is the standard deviation 1, standard deviation 2, and standard deviation 3. And so you can choose which one of those lines that you want to use if you're using the case dev stops. You can also switch to normal ATR stops. And so the way I have it set up here is I've chosen ATR as the stop type. And down here I've told it the ATR stop multiple that I want to use is 1.5 times the ATR. So the stop is 1.5 times the ATR away from the entry price. The entry price that I've specified, you can customize everything in this indicator. I've chosen, just for the example here, to use closing price as the entry price, but you can just as easily switch that to open or high or low. If you want to do like breakout entries, you could use the high of a candle as a kind of a stop entry. You can easily switch to short here, and it will completely reversed, so the stop in red will be above and the target in green will be below. Completely dynamic, updates all the numbers for you. So that's how the ATR works. You can customize the multiple for the ATR. If you want to use a candle stop, so this is set to use the closing price as the entry, the low as the stop, and a 3-to-1 risk to reward as the target. You can also, if you don't want to use just the automatically generated target, which is, I've set it here to a risk multiple, you can actually set to a custom price for your target. Let's say we just want $239. So we type in $239, hit OK, and now it's set the target to $239, and it's updated our risk reward, so we know now that that's a 1 to 1.7 reward to risk ratio. And it updates our percentages here and tells us our entry, stop, and target. So you can either choose the risk multiple and then choose what risk multiple you want to use, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, whatever you want, and it will automatically calculate all that for you. Another important update we made to this, you can choose to use either the actual account balance that's in your ThinkOrSwim account or a manual amount that I have specified here. I've set the cash balance to $50,000 and I've set my buying power leverage to 4 to 1. So my total buying power will be 4 times that, or $200,000. Then I've specified that I want to risk only up to 1% of that total buying power, $200,000, on every trade I take. And so you can see here that it's risking a maximum of 1% of that $200,000. You can switch to choose the actual amount, and it will dynamically pull in your current account balance and ignore this manual value here, but then it will multiply it by whatever buying power leverage you want there, and then whatever percent risk that you want to use on each trade as well. So if I put it to 2%, it updates to 4,000 instead of 2,000. So it's very flexible here. It allows you to use like a hypothetical number here or your actual cash balance. So you don't have to go in there every day and type it in somehow. For candle-based stops, I currently have this on candle-based stops. You can choose a time period other than the chart that you're actually looking at right now. So I'm on a daily chart right now, but what if I want to only enter on weekly candle entries? So the indicator automatically adjusts to weekly entries and weekly stops, and these will also update to weekly targets. And so you can see here these are only updating every week. And so if you want to enter on the break of a weekly candle, then you can specify that in the setup here. If you're on, maybe you're trading intraday and you're trading off of a 2-minute chart, but you want to only enter on 5-minute entries, 5-minute candle breaks or something like that, 5-minute bar breaks, then you can set this to a 5-minute candle, and it will set your entries, stops, and targets based on that 5-minute candle instead of based on the 2-minute chart that you're actually looking at. Very, like I said, very customizable. A lot of different options here. One of the new things that we've added here is also I've made a detailed explanation of each of the options in this, so that I won't get as many emails, asking the details of each of these options, and so it's a lot easier for you guys, so that you can get an explanation of each of the options here, so you know what you're doing and what you're changing. For your ATR stops, you have full power to customize whatever options you want. You can set the ATR based on the current, time frame if you're looking at a daily chart, or you can calculate the ATR of a totally different time frame and base your stops on those. So if you want to calculate the average true range of the weekly chart and then base your stops on the weekly average true range, that's completely fine. And if you're on an intraday time frame like 2 minute or 1 minute, and you want to calculate your ATR stops based on the 15-minute chart, you can do that just as easily. If you do that, you want to make the ATR length a little bit longer. And you can choose the ATR average type, whatever average type you want here, ATR length, and once again, like I talked about earlier, the ATR stop multiple, the number of ATRs that you want to use as the stop distance. So that goes over most of the settings. A couple more here. You can add padding. You can add a tick or two of padding on each side of your entry to account for slippage or whatever you want to do. So I've switched this back to candle-based, but so you can add a tick of slippage or padding to each entry. So maybe if you're entering on candle entries, and so let's set this to the high. Say we're buying the high. So we would be buying one tick above the high with one tick of padding. We would be buying one tick above the high of this candle. Our stop would be one tick below the low because of that same one tick padding setting. And then it would calculate our target based on that total size. So the one tick on the top, one tick on the bottom, and then whatever our multiple is there, that's the target. So you can add slippage or padding there depending on what type of entries you're using. You can also round the shares. So if we want to round, so we have odd numbers of shares here, 2,857 shares. So if we want to round it off to the nearest 100, I put in round off to the nearest 100, and so it rounds it to 2,800 shares to keep it within that maximum 4,000 of risk. So you can optionally round off the shares. You can also specify what you're rounding it off to. So if you only want to round it off to the nearest 10, maybe you're dealing with futures contracts, instead of shares. So you can round it off to the nearest 10 instead of 100 or something like that. And so here, if I switch it to 10, it rounds it off to the nearest 10 that will still meet that maximum of $4,000 of risk. You can optionally, the last few settings here are just determining whether you want to plot targets and stops. If you want these green lines and red lines on your chart, you can tell yes, you want to plot the targets and stops, or you can switch it to no just as easily if you don't want those to show up. You can show whichever ones of these labels you want. You can show them all, or you can hide whichever ones you don't want. You've got complete power to customize that. You can set all your colors. Your label color, you can change it to whatever you want. Pink, green, blue, whatever. You can change the entry or the stop and target line colors right here. Here's the target, here's the stops. You can set your case dev stop levels and each of the colors for those and the warning line. You can change how they're plotted and everything like that. So completely customizable. You can show and hide whichever plots you want or don't want. And so I just wanted to, there's so many new options in this. It's so much more powerful. I just wanted to run through everything one more time. I know I have an older video out there about the old version. Not nearly as many options in that. And so I wanted to, quickly run through this and show you all the new features and what you can do with it. If you think it will be useful for your trading, you can check it out at ThinkOrSwim.net, and we have it there. Also, I have some more details in the description below. So if you have any questions, give us a call, send us an email, leave a comment below. Be sure to click subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.